Good afternoon, students. Today we are going to continue with the maximum mode signals. So in the last class we have seen the minimum mode signals now. So let us go for the maximum mode signals. So in the maximum mode signals, as we know that if you want to configure the what is it 8086 microprocessor under the maximum mode, you are supposed to focus on the 33 pin. You are supposed to focus on the 33 pin, right? So if at all the 33 pin is connected to the VCC, then this one is acting as a means the microprocessor is configured under the minimum to the VCC. The 8086 microprocessor is configured under the minimum mode, and if it is a ground, then it is a microprocessor is configured under the maximum mode. Okay, now so this pin is actually in the last class we have seen this one. uh, so it is going to be the MX slash sorry MN minimum mode slash MX bar actually. So we are going to have the bar which is showing the active low signal, So here, when you are interested to configure the 8086 microprocessor under the maximum mode, you should connect the 33 pin of our 8086 microprocessor to the ground, because ground is nothing but it is a active low signal, and MXC bar means that we are going to configure the 8086 under the maximum mode if at all we are applying the active low signal, because the name itself says that the maximum mode controlling signal is a active low signal. Okay, so let us go for the explanation of the signals which are there under the maximum mode. Okay, so let us concentrate on these two signals which are nothing but the 31 33 30 31 and 30. So request and grant signals so as we have seen in the last class that most of the cases means maximum time the system bus is under the control of microprocessor, but here are some way the other bus masters which are there in the system design, they are going to gain the control over the system bus. They are going to gain the control over the system bus. We have seen in the last class one concept called as a DMA, direct memory access concept. So in this case, in the when we are using the DMA technique in the minimum mode signals, we are having the hold and hold acknowledgement. We are having the hold and hold acknowledgement. So here, hold and hold acknowledgement are used for requesting the microprocessor to relieve the control over the system bus. If at all the microprocessor is ready, it is generating the hold acknowledgement signal. That's what we have seen in the last class. So in the today's class also, if at all it is not the DMA, if we are having some other bus master who wants to gain the control over the system bus, then those bus masters are going to be generated the request signal to the microprocessor via the request and the grant signals. So both are the active low signals, and of same signal is acting as a request signal, and same signal is acting as a grant signal. Means one is acting as a request signal, means if the request is coming from the external peripheral who would like to take the control over the system bus, it is going to be generate the control signal. Then this signal is going to be given as an input to the microprocessor. If at all the microprocessor is ready, then the same signal is acting as the output line by generating the grant signal. Similar to that, we are having one more request and grant signal. So these two signals are used by the external bus masters who would like to gain the control over the system bus. Gain the control over the system bus. Okay, now. So this is not same as the DMA. DMA technique is different, but if at all we are having some other bus masters in the system, they would like to take the control over the system bus at any point of time, then they are going to request the control signal, that is a request signal to the microprocessor saying that I would like to gain the control over the system bus. If at all the microprocessor is ready, then it is going to be generate the grant signal using the same pin to the external device from where the signal is came. And if at all the external device receives this particular grant signal, it realizes that that is the microprocessor is released to the control over the system bus, or otherwise another way of explanation is I am going to gain the control over the system bus. Okay, so the next case is a lock signal. Next case is a lock signal. Lock is a active low output signal. Lock is a active low output signal. Why I am saying it as an active low? Because the name is following with the bar. Name is following with the bar. So this is the active low output signal. So previously these are also active low signals. Sometimes the signal is acting as input line. Sometimes the signal is acting as an output line. So here in this case, lock is the active low signal. Okay. So what is the main intention of the lock is, let us suppose at any point of time during a particular instruction, the microprocessor is not interested, means if we are not interested to allow the microprocessor to access the that is some other bus master to gain the control over the system bus. If you are not interested to release the control over the system bus to some other bus master during a particular instruction, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of the lock signal. Okay, now. So whatever the instruction I'm having over here, assume that it is an instruction. So I'm not showing the exact instruction, what kind of instructions we are going to use. It depends on the operation, but I'm just assuming it is in one instruction. So if at all this instruction, during the execution of this instruction, I'm not interested to allow the microprocessor to release the control over the system bus over the some other bus master to some other bus master. Okay, now. So means when I'm writing one program, during the execution of a particular instruction like this, I'm not interested as a developer. I'm not interested to allow the microprocessor to transfer the gain over the control sorry, to transfer the control over the system bus, to transfer the control over the system bus to some other bus master. Then I'm going to make use of the lock signal. So this is a lock signal generated by the microprocessor as an active low output signal. If at all I would like to lock the microprocessor to avoid the transferring of control over the system bus to some other bus master, then I'm going to what is that prefix this instruction. I'm going to prefix this instruction. With the lock instruction. I'm going to prefix this instruction with the lock. Okay. Now. So if at all this one is prefixed, if at all a particular instruction which you would like to execute, if this instruction is prefixed with the lock, then definitely during the execution of this instruction, whatever the instructions we are having, during the execution of this particular instruction, the microprocessor is not going to transfer or it is not going to lose the control over the system bus, or it is not going to transfer the control over the system bus to some other bus master. Okay, now. Okay, so different way of explanation. One is with respect to the developer point of view, another one is with respect to the microprocessor point of view. If at all the microprocessor microprocessor is a device which is going to be performs a particular operation depending on the developer who is writing the program. So whoever the developer wants to execute a particular instruction, during that instruction the developer is not interested to lose the control over the system bus. Okay, at that time that instruction is prefixed with the lock. By using the lock prefix to a particular instruction, I'm instructing the microprocessor don't release the control over the system bus to some other bus master during the execution of this particular instruction. Okay, now. So this is a detailed explanation of the lock instruction. Okay, so means in order to avoid the transferring of the control over the system bus to some other bus master, we are having one pin called as a lock pin. Okay, now let's go for seeing the another kind of another signals in the what is that maximum mode case. So in the maximum mode case, we are having the S2 bar, S1 bar, S0 bar. These are the three signals which are showing the present status of the microprocessor. Means what kind of operation is going on inside the microprocessor, that is going to be shown by the 8086 microprocessor with the help of the status signals. Or otherwise, if any developer wants to read what kind of operation is right now, what kind of operation is going on inside a microprocessor at a particular point of time, you simply visit these three status signals. Then you will come to know what kind of operation is going on inside the microprocessor. If you want to see that one, I think in the last classes we have seen that, right? We have seen that S2 S1 bar signal status. I'm having the table. I'll show the table. Just follow the table. Yeah, this is what the table. Okay, now S2 1 S2 S1 S0, these three are the active low signals which are there in the max mode case. So here these three signals status are showing, means these three signals are showing their showing the present status of the operation which is going on inside the microprocessor. So if we are reading these three signal status as a 000, then the microprocessor is performing the interrupt acknowledgement operation, means it is sending the interrupt acknowledgement signal. If we are reading the 001 combination, then the microprocessor is performing the read operation with respect to the IO device. 010 combination, write operation with respect to the IO device. 011 combination means it is halting the execution of the program. It is in the halt mode. Okay, now. So if we are reading the 100 case, then it is performing the opcode fetching operation. Okay, now microprocessor is performing the means if you are reading the status signal as a 100, then the microprocessor is performing the opcode fetch operation. If we are reading the status as a 101, then microprocessor is performing the read operation with respect to the memory. 110, microprocessor is performing the write operation with respect to the memory. 311, then the microprocessor is performing the inactive mode, means it is in the inactive mode, means passive mode. It is not doing any kind of operation. Okay, it is simply sitting in the ideal case. Okay, so that's what the S2, S2, S1, S0 bar signals which are there in the maximum mode, Okay, wait a minute, which are there in the maximum mode. Now, the next set of instructions are the QS1, that is the QS1 and the QS0. These two signals are used for indicating the present status of the queue. Present status of the queue means whether the queue is empty, whether the queue is fully loaded, or whether the queue is halfly filled. So that is going to be shown with the help of the QS1, QS0 signals. That is going to be shown with the help of the QS1 and QS0 signals. So if you see these two signals status as a 00, then the we don't have, means the queue is the empty. Queue is empty. Okay. So if we are reading 00 status on the QS1, QS0 signals from the 8086 microprocessor, then the queue is empty. If it is a 01, then the first byte of opcode is from the queue. Means we are reading the first byte of opcode from the queue, because you just recollect the previous classes information. Inside 8086 microprocessor internal architecture is divided into two independent blocks. One is a bus interfacing unit and another one is a execution unit. Bus interfacing unit is the one which is fetching, means all the bus related operations are going to be done by the BIU, means it is reading the memory data, it is reading the data from the memory, writing the data, it is fetching the opcode from the memory, all those operations. I'm sorry, my house is very next to the main road, so that's why you are having the noise. I'm very sorry for that. Okay, so here yeah, the means the all the bus related operations are going to be done by the bus interfacing unit, as you know that one, right? So here the execution unit simply reading the information from the queue and performing the operation. So when it is when the queue status as a 01, then the microprocessor is reading the means the execution unit, especially execution unit is reading the first byte of opcode from the queue. Execution unit is reading the first byte of opcode from the queue. Okay, now so here I'm sorry, it is a 00 combination means no operation, means microprocessor is in the ideal mode. 10 combination is the empty, the queue is empty. So previously I told this one as the empty. I'm sorry for that. So it is a 00 means the microprocessor is not performing any kind of operation, and 10 combination means it is a the queue is empty, and 11 combination means the information execution unit is reading the information from the queue in the sequential order. Okay, now in the sequential order. Okay, so this is about the queue status. With that, the maximum mode signals which are there in the 8086 microprocessors are going to be are finished actually. So if you want to see them, yeah, we are done with the maximum mode signals. Yeah, these are the maximum mode signals. I think we have done with all of these signals. Okay, so the next case is, let us go for the common mode signals. Common mode signals means irrespective of the minimum mode and the maximum mode, the signals which are there in the 8086 microprocessor, they are called as the common mode signals. So as we have seen the explanation of the multiplex lines and the ground signals, I have seen the explanation of these signals. So AD02, AD14, these are the multiplex lines, and AD15 to all this, but let me go with over here. Okay, and this one is also the multiplexer, but this one is not depending on the ALU. So these multiplexer signals are going to be demultiplexed with the help of one control signal called as a ALE, which is a address latch enable signal, and the rest of the signals what we covered, non-maskable interrupt and maskable interrupt, which are nothing but NMI and the INTR, maskable and non-maskable. So clock signal is used for providing the means 8086 microprocessor is a should be feeded. It should be feeded with the required amount of frequency signal to get the functionality. So we are providing the required amount of frequency signal using the 19th pin of the 8086 microprocessor. Here you may use the clock generator or any crystal oscillator to solve those things, but Mostly we are going with the clock generator, which is nothing but the 8284. The IC number for the clock generator is the 8284, which we are going to see in upcoming classes. Okay. So as I said, we are having the two ground signals in the 8086 microprocessor and one VCC, which is a power supply. I think we left with these three signals. Yeah, we left with BHE bar slash S7. Sorry, BHE bar slash H7. So what exactly the BHE bar? What exactly the main intention of the BHE bar and S7 signal? SIMA, if the signal is not acting as a BHE bar, then S7 signal is always the high. S7 signal is always high. If the BHE bar is participating in the any kind of operation, means the that 34th pin is acting as a BHE bar instead of the S7, then the BHE bar intention is used for indicating do we have any valid data on the higher order data bus. What exactly the higher order data bus? Let us define that. Okay, so here we are having the yeah, let me go back to the scenario. So here we are having the multiplex lines na AD0 to AD14, AD15 and A19 to A6 S6 na. So just remember that they are the multiplex lines, right? Yeah. What is the use of the BHE bar is a question. Okay, now what is the use of the BHE bar? BHE bar signal. So BHE bar stands bus high enable signal. BHE bar stands bus high enable signal. Okay, now, so what exactly the bus high enable signal means? Whenever there is a valid data which is going to be passing through the higher order data bus of the 8086 microprocessor. Higher order data bus. Okay, now means we are having the higher order data bus and the lower order data bus. Don't get confused. Actually, we have only one data bus, but that is split into higher order and lower order. What is the data bus lines which are there in our microprocessor case? That is a multiplex lines. Let me go to that one. So we are having the AD15 to AD15, AD8, and I'm just taking the red color for the explanation point of view to differentiate it. AD7 to AD0. Okay, AD7 to AD0. So these are the address and the data lines. Address and the data lines. So these lines are acting as the address lines as well as the data lines. So if at all I'm converting, let us suppose the ALU position is equals to 0, address latch enable signal is equals to the 0, then these lines are acting as what? These lines are acting as a data lines. These lines are acting as a data lines. Okay. So these lines are acting as a data lines. They are, at that time the naming convention is going to be D15 to D8, D7 to D0. Okay, D15 to D8, D7 to D0. Remember, ma. So it is a AD15 to AD8 means AD15 to AD15 to AD8 means it is a 8-bit information, 8-bit bus, and from the AD7 to AD0 is also another kind of 8-bit bus. Okay, now we are having the this is a 8-bit bus and this is a 8-bit bus. Commonly it is a 16-bit data bus. Na commonly it is a 16-bit data bus. As we know that this is a first byte. When you are trying to assign the naming convention to a bytes, then you should move from the right to left format. So first 8 bits are called as a byte, and next 8 bits are called as another byte. So first 8 bits are called as a lower byte, lower order byte or lower byte. Okay, now. So first 8 bits are called as a lower byte. Remaining 8 bits, next upcoming 8 bits which are there in the next to the lower byte are called as a higher byte. Okay, now. Higher byte. Okay, lower byte and the higher byte. Okay, so the same thing is going to be named with another way called as a lower order bus, higher order data bus. Lower order data bus, lower byte is also means these signals are also called as lower order bus, and these signals are called as a higher order bus. Okay, so don't get confused. So the first 8 signals are called as a lower order byte or the lower order bus, and the next 8 bits are called as a higher order byte or the higher order bus. Higher order bus. So here, whenever there is a valid data, whenever there is a valid data which is passing through the higher order bus. When means why we are taking this convention, this explanation is that purely depends on whether you are transmitting the 8-bit data or the 16-bit data. If you are performing the 8-bit data, remember one point, that if you are performing the 8-bit data, that 8-bit data is always going to be transferred using the lower order data bus. That 8-bit data is always transferred using the lower order data bus. But here are somewhere, depending on the situation, sometimes, it is not all the time, sometimes the data higher order data bus is going to be used to drive the 8-bit data. If at all it is a 16-bit data transmission, at that time all the data lines are going to be used. Okay. So as we know that from AD0 to AD7 is called as a lower order data bus. AD8 to AD15 are called as a higher order data bus. If at all we are trying to perform the 16-bit data bus, if we are trying to perform the 16-bit data transmission, or other way of explanation is the BHE bar pin is used for indicating whether there is a valid data is transmitted by the higher order data bus or not. Okay. BHE bar signal status showing that whether there is a valid data is passing through by the higher order data bus or not. It is carried by the higher order data bus or not. If at all the BHE bar signal is equals to the 0, then if at all the BHE bar signal is equals to the 0, then what will happen? AD15 to AD8 are participating in the data transmission. Means higher order data bus is carrying some valid information. If at all this signal, the BHE bar signal status as a 1, then whatever the signals we are having, whatever the higher order data bus we are having, it is not transferring or carrying any valid data. Okay. So BHE bar is used for indicating whether the higher order data bus is carrying some valid data or not. If at all the BHE bar signal is equals to the 0, then it is indicating that the higher order data bus is carrying some valid data, or otherwise the higher order data bus is participating in the data transmission operation. If at all the BHE bar signal is equals to the 1, then the higher order data bus is not participating in the data transmission, or it is in the ideal mode. That is the intention of the BHE bar signal. Okay, that is the intention of the BHE bar signal. If you want, you can note it down this. So let's go back to the explanation. The other signal explanation, which is a read signal. As you know that the microprocessor is going to be perform the read operation with respect to the memory using the RD bar signal. So as we know that the RD bar signal is a active low signal. Okay. Now let's go for the test signal. Okay. What exactly the test signal? Test is a active low input signal. So how exactly the test is going to be useful for us is a question. Okay, Let us suppose in our program, here are some way I used one instruction called as a wait. Means using the wait instruction, I'm instructing the microprocessor to wait for some time. How much time? I'm going to decide that one using the some other methods. But with the help of the wait instruction, I'm instructing the 8086 microprocessor to wait for some time. If at all. So means I'm having so many instructions are there in my program. So I'm just taking one box. So many instructions are there. From here onwards, so many instructions are there. But in the middle of the program, I'm having wait instruction. Let us suppose when the microprocessor is trying to execute the wait instruction, okay now. So during the execution of the wait instruction, if at all the test signal status is active low, means 0, during the execution of the wait instruction, if at all the test signal is 0 or active low status, means we are having the binary 0 is applied to this particular signal, to this particular pin as an input signal. Okay, at that time microprocessor treats wait instruction as a NOP instruction. Okay, wait instruction as a NOP instruction, means no operation. Wait instruction is going to be executed by the microprocessor as a no operation in one as a one instruction. That's it. Okay, now means during the execution of the wait instruction, if the test signal is active low, that is a binary 0. At that time, wait instruction executed by the microprocessor as a NOP instruction. Let us suppose during the execution of the wait instruction, if at all this signal status, if at all the test signal status is a active high, that means which is equals to the 1, binary 1. If at all the test signal status as the active high status, okay, if the test signal status is a active high, then the microprocessor is going to be means during the execution of the wait instruction, if the test signal status is a active high status, then the microprocessor is going to be there in the wait mode until the test signal becomes a 0, means until the 1 becomes a 0. Until that time the microprocessor is going to be in the wait mode. It is going to be there in the wait mode. Okay, now don't get confused. So during the execution of the wait instruction, if the test signal status is a 0 or the active low status, then wait instruction is treated as a NOP instruction by the microprocessor, which is a no operation. If at all during the execution of the wait instruction, if the test signal status is a binary 1 or in the active high mode, then the microprocessor is going to be waits until the test signal goes low. Until the test signal goes low, the microprocessor is in the wait mode because it is executing the wait instruction. Okay, now. So that is the use of the test signal. Now let's go to the another signal called as a ready signal. What is the intention, or what is the use of the ready signal? So as a diagram says that a ready signal is a active. Let me go back. Okay, ready signal is a active high input signal. Now what is the intention of the ready signal, or how we are going to make use of the ready signal in the 8086 microprocessor based system? Okay, now see ma, whenever we are trying to interface the slow response devices to the microprocessor, at that time the ready signal is going to be used by that particular device. What I mean to say that, let us suppose I'm having one device. Okay, I'm having one device. One more point that I'm just naming this one as a D1, device 1. One more point that, just remember one point that in a particular system design, when we are having a particular microprocessor based system, in that the microprocessor is the one which is working with the highest speed. And whatever the peripherals which are interfaced to the microprocessor, they are not working with the same speed of the microprocessor. They are working with a little bit less speed. Let us suppose for that we are having the interrupt concept. With the help of the interrupt, we are going to inform the microprocessor whenever the device is ready. So I'm not dragging this explanation into the interrupt case. So I would like to explain one concept. What is the use of the ready signal? Let us suppose I'm having one peripheral device in the 8086 microprocessor based system. So in that case, in that design, whatever the D1 device is there, which is working with the less speed compared to the 8086 microprocessor. When the device 1 is working with the less speed compared to the 8086 microprocessor, do you think that the microprocessor is going to get the information from the D1? What I mean to say that, let us suppose the microprocessor wants to read the information from the D1. Okay, now Okay, now so if at all the D1 is not transferring the information with the same speed of the microprocessor, with how much speed the microprocessor is reading the information, if the D1 is not transferring the information with the same speed, then definitely there is a miscommunication. Let me tell you one simple example. Let us suppose you are in the physically existed in the classroom. Assume that this lecture is there in the classroom. Physically I'm there in the classroom on the dais, and I'm giving the lecture, and you people are there in the classroom. And let us suppose I'm dictating some points regarding a particular topic. Okay, regarding a particular topic. If at all I'm going to dictate the information continuously without any pass, Do you think that you people are going to note down entire information without any mistakes? It's highly impossible. It's highly impossible. For example, right now we are in the virtual class. I don't know whether you are able to realize the concepts or not, and not only the concept, whether you are able to note down the points or not. Because I'm not seeing your faces. I'm not seeing your faces because it is a virtual classroom. It is a virtual classroom. Means whether you are ready or not, whether you are able to note down the points or not, irrespective of your present status, I'm keep on giving the lecture. I'm keep on giving the lecture. If we are taking the classroom, the physical now whether it is a physical or virtual classroom, the physical the person who is there on the dais is going to be the microprocessor. The students who are there in the classroom are going to be the peripherals. Are going to be the peripherals. So as the faculty is going to be work with the high speed, means the explanation is going to be little bit faster, then the students are unable to capture the information. Like when the faculty is trying to dictate the information and the students are unable to note down that information. Okay, if at all physically we are there in the classroom, if at all physically we are there in the classroom, as we are the human beings, we are going to see with our naked eyes about the person's position, means whether the students are able to note down the information or not. Means based on the students expression and based on the students writing skills, the person who is there on the dais is going to be speed up the dictating information or slows down the dictating information. Okay now, are we clear? So means in order to, means that faculty is not giving the dictating the information continuously based on the students readiness and their writing skills. The faculty is going to be dictate the information. The faculty is going to be dictate the information. Means the faculty is literally checking the readiness of the students. Based on that only they are giving the lecture or the dictating the information. So here also, when you would like to interface one device D1 which is not working with the same speed of the microprocessor, which is not working with the same speed of the microprocessor, then we are going to interface slow response device to the microprocessor via the ready pin. Via the ready pin. Whenever the microprocessor wants to perform some operation related to the D1, whenever the microprocessor wants to perform some operation related to the D1, then it will check it out the ready signal. It will check it out the ready signal to check the readiness of the D1. To check the readiness of the D1. Okay now. So if at all the microprocessor reads this signal status as a active high status, means binary 1. If the microprocessor is reading binary 1 or the active high signal from this particular pin, then the microprocessor realizes that D1 is ready for operation. Then the microprocessor is going to perform the read operation or the write operation. Other way of explanation, with respect to the D1. D1 is the one which is not working with the same speed of the microprocessor. As it is not working with the same speed of the microprocessor, whenever the D1 wants some functionality from the microprocessor, it is going to be shows its readiness using the ready pin to the microprocessor. It is going to shows its readiness using the ready pin to the microprocessor. Whenever the microprocessor receives the active signal through this particular pin, it realizes that this device is ready for the operation. Okay now. So ready pin is going to be used by the peripherals to indicate their readiness to the microprocessor. In simple short, ready pin is used by the peripheral to indicate their readiness to the microprocessor. So that is the main intention of the ready signal. Okay. Now let's go to the reset signal. Okay. Now, so what is the use of the reset signal? Means in order to reset all the activities of the microprocessor. We are having the reset signal. In order to reset all the activities of the microprocessor, we are having the reset signal. Means which is a active low, sorry, reset signal is a active high input signal. Reset signal is a active high input signal. Means whenever the microprocessor receives a binary 1 through the pin number 21, whenever the microprocessor receives a binary 1 through the pin number 1, then the microprocessor is going to be resets all its activities. Means reinitializes its operations. It is going to reinitialize its operation. Okay now, when it is reinitializing the operation, then where exactly the code segment is existed is a question. Means the microprocessor is going to be after after it received the active high signal through the reset pin to the microprocessor, it is going to be reinitialize its activities now. So when it is reinitializing its activities, whatever the physical address is there for the code segment, whatever the physical address is there for the code segment. I'm not going back to the explanation of what exactly the physical address, all those things. There's a 20-bit address is called as a physical address. Okay, now 20-bit address is called as a physical address. Actually, for your convenience, I'm just repeating this one. I'm not going to do the same thing in the upcoming classes. So 20-bit physical address is nothing but it is going to be the what is that, base and the offset address. It is going to be the base and the offset address. So whenever you are pressing the reset button, then the code segment, the base address of the code segment is going to be the 4fh colon 4fh colon, offset address is going to be the 40h. That's okay. Okay, so this 20-bit physical address is going to be automatically loaded upon the reset. Upon the reset operation, this 20-bit physical address is automatically loaded into the code segment, which is nothing but CS colon. What is the offset address? Means which register is holding the offset address for the code segment? Could you recollect that information? Which segment, which register is holding the offset address of the code segment? I hope you remember that one, which is nothing but the IP, instruction pointer. Okay, so this entire thing, this CS colon IP is going to be filled with the 4F colon 40H. 4F colon 40H means whatever the code you would like to execute by the microprocessor, that code upon reset, whatever the code, or during the initialization process, whatever the code you would like to execute by the microprocessor, that code should be there in this particular segment. That code should be there in this particular segment. Okay, in this particular segment, because we are having the 16 segments, right? We are having the 16 segments. Out of 16, 4 segments are going to be used at a time. Okay, now clear. So means upon initialization, upon reset operation, means when you are applying the binary 1 to this particular signal, upon the reset, the microprocessor is going to be reinitialize its operation and stores the 20-bit physical address as a 4fh colon 00h, that is a 40h, into the CS colon IP format, which is nothing but the base address colon offset address, and which is also called as a 20-bit physical address. Okay, 20-bit physical address. So this is all about your 8086 microprocessor pin diagram. It is one of the important long question. Okay, you are supposed to explain all the points what we covered in this means in the last couple of videos. I think it is a 4th video regarding the pin diagram of 8086 microprocessor. You are supposed to follow all the videos to finish up the what is that, pin diagram of 8086 microprocessor. So if you are having any queries regarding the pin diagram explanation, let me know in the group. Okay, thanks for today's class. I think yeah, we are done with the today's class. We'll continue with the next topic. In the next class, we are going to see about the bus cycles.